here's what's actually known at this time, based on all the conversations I've had over the past couple of days. Davante Adams' top choice is the Jets. He would like to, if he's traded, go and play with Aaron Rodgers again, which is interesting because if you kind of unpack the way that everything played out in Green Bay, remember, it got to a point in 2022 where the Packers had contract talks with Davante Adams. They didn't get something done in camp, so that then put him in a situation where he was going to be a free agent into the offseason, or they'd have to franchise tag him. And by the time they got around to doing the Aaron Rodgers deal, they didn't have the cap space even if they wanted to tag him. There were on and off talks with the Raiders, and he had decided he wanted to go to Las Vegas. He wanted to reunite with another one of his quarterbacks in Derek Carr out there. And so they end up, that was the 2021 camp going into 2022. He ends up getting traded to the Raiders for a first and second round pick. He wants, at this point, if he's traded, he wants to go and be with Aaron, which shouldn't surprise anybody because it's not just Aaron Rodgers, it's Nathaniel Hackett, it's Alan Lazard. There's a lot of familiarity there. It's a team with a lot of expectations. Mm-hmm. It's a place where he would be taxed and lose probably millions of dollars potentially compared to a no state income tax state in Nevada. But that's a trade-off that apparently he's willing to make. He'd like to be there. Second choice would be the Saints. Another reunion with Derek Carr on a Saints team that I don't think that you look at and say they've got an overt need for another wide receiver. But certainly when you're talking about a future Hall of Fame type guy in Davante Adams, you're willing to consider it, especially when he's got the established rapport with the quarterback, played in a similar system, combine him with Rashid Shaheed and Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave, the other weapons that they have. You can see where that would make sense. But there's also a cap issue that exists with the Saints that makes this more complicated. More on that in a second. You have other teams like the Bills that would make sense. If we're just talking pure fits, what would make sense? We mentioned it earlier. They move forward without a Stephon Diggs type of guy. In Buffalo, you've got Khalil Shakir. You got Dalton Kincaid. Those are really the top two options in the passing game. Obviously, James Cook has emerged as a threat for them. But, in New York, their most talented player, their best player probably on offense is Garrett Wilson, who already, by the way, is not overly pleased with his target share because Alan Lazard, who knows Aaron really well from their days in Green Bay, has been getting more targets. So adding Davante Adams to that mix would create a certain situation there that they would have to manage. But again, the Jets are the top choice for Davante Adams. The Bills don't have, no offense to Khalil Shakir, they don't have a Garrett Wilson there. He could go play with one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, in Josh Allen, on a team that needs him, on a team that's built to win absolutely right now. I don't know, though, that Davante Adams wants to go someplace that he doesn't know anybody. Same goes for Pittsburgh. Steelers have been in on every receiver who's come available. They obviously, it's well documented, they were trying to trade for Brandon Ayuk. In the end, Ayuk decided he wanted to stay and take the deal with the 49ers. The Steelers have been open, looking at other trade opportunities. There hasn't been one yet. If Davante Adams wanted to go to Pittsburgh, it would make a lot of sense. Pair him with George Pickens. Van Jefferson can play a little bit different role. But at this point, again, there's not a lot of familiarity there for Davante Adams. There's other teams, including the teams that, throughout the course of the offseason have been attached to other receivers. What about the 49ers? Brandon Ayuk got a lot of money, hasn't produced at a super high level. We know that Debo can play a lot of different roles, and we don't know when, or perhaps even if, it sounds like it's still a when, but the 49ers ultimately don't know when Christian McCaffrey is going to get back on the field. So to the extent that the 49ers, when they were still going through with Ayuk, were calling around on these receivers, maybe that would make some sense. They're no strangers to making a high-level acquisition in the trade market during the season. They did it with McCaffrey a couple of years ago. I could see that potentially working. But again, similar system, not familiar people.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.